Hello everybody and welcome to another brand new episode here on Sunny Side Up Farms. So the wheat harvest continues, although this is the last field now, so harvest will be complete after this field, as I say, and then we've got the baling to do, so we probably will get that started in this episode hopefully, but although I won't show tons of baling, I will show, sort of the majority of it, but because I just I don't want you obviously to to miss out on what we're doing on the farm, but I also understand that there is a limit. Yeah, so but as I say, I'd love to buy that field in front of us. I would absolutely love to buy that field in front of us. We've got one sellable crop, which is our rape. That might bring in enough money for us to be able to buy that field, but the one thing that I am definitely beginning to notice on this particular map is that field prices are very expensive, and I like that. I like that a lot. I hate playing maps where you're doing it properly and you're farming and life's difficult, and then you go to a massive field and the author of that map, whichever map, there's no one particular person or one particular map or anything, it's on many maps in farming. So if you go to that big field and it's like 300 grand, and you think, really? I wish I could buy a field that size in real life for 300 grand. I'd be laughing. Not that I've got 300 grand, but you can see the point I'm trying to make. Whereas on this map, so far what I've seen is small fields of 300, 400, 500 grand, and the big fields are millions. And I like that. I like that a lot, because again, on those maps where the land prices are not sort of very accurate, and I haven't put my auger out, have I? Where the land prices are not very accurate, what happens is that you're sort of playing, as I say, I played a game properly, and sort of try and do everything right, and you'll find that within 2 or 3 years, you can own every field on the map. The difference is that you're still messing around with equipment this size because you've concentrated so much and got sort of kind of caught up and lost in buying fields that you're sort of no longer updating equipment, and suddenly this little combine's expected to combine half of a big map or whatever. So yeah, I don't like it. Whereas on this map, I think the machinery and the fields, because of the prices obviously of machinery and the prices of the fields and stuff, I think what will happen is that the fields and the machinery will kind of match each other, and that will obviously be a lot better. Hopefully, it always brings me the empty one. I want the one that's half full already, because that means I'm now going to. I'll tell you what, I absolutely love that tractor. Absolutely love that tractor. It is just like the 996 that I used to drive on the first farm that I worked on, because that farm, although we had two, we had a John Deere 7810 and a John Deere 6030 and a John Deere 6210 I think it was, and a John Deere 6620, which was the tractor that I started my life on that farm. That was my tractor, 6620, and so we had a 7810, which was an absolute beast of a tractor, an absolutely fantastic tractor. But when we were sort of not doing field work and we were doing sort of general work, then my tractor was the David Brown 996. I used to do the sugar beet hoeing, so we had two David Brown 885s, and myself and John used to have one each, and we'd go off and do the sugar beet hoeing on the two David Brown 885s. Absolutely fantastic. I just absolutely, as I say, David Brown's is where I, sort of learned, when I used to, and I've said this, told this story before. I think it might even have been on one of the episodes on here actually. I started off on a David Brown when I was about 8 or 9 years of age. I used to go to work with my mum. She worked on a bull farm, local farmer, or daft farm as we used to call them out eggs. Pretty much that was all they grew. They did have arable as well, and they dabbled in contracting, but it was mainly with their JCB, not really their farm equipment. But anyway, and one day while I was at work with my mum, David, who owned the farm, David and Mary, two absolutely lovely people. David said to me, "Do you want to drive the tractor up and down the field, young man?" And I was like, as I said, I couldn't believe it. And I always remember actually coming home that day, and my dad getting home from work, and mum getting home. Mum would get home a couple of hours after, but my dad had popped out, and we were home just as sort of a few minutes before he got home, and Dad got out of the car, and I was already waiting for him, and I was bouncing up and down, and I was like, Dad, I've drove a tractor today. And Dad was like, "No, you haven't." And I was like, yeah, I have, because I must admit I was a child that did like a story or two. And so my dad was kind of like, "No, you didn't." And I was like, "Yeah, I did. Yeah, I'll go and ask Mum. And then when he went in, and I said, Mum, tell Dad I drove a tractor today." And she was like, "Yeah, he did." And Dad was like, "Bloody hell, that was good." And I was like, "Oh, it's like the best thing ever." And I remember standing in the kitchen and saying to my Mum, "How do I dream about this tonight?" To this day, that is the one sort of, I can remember most of that day, because as I say, it was the first ever day that I'd sort of got to drive a tractor in the cab by myself. I'd sort of steered tractors before, usually sort of either on the knee of my granddad or my Uncle Stephen, or whatever, but to actually be to be in the cab by myself driving the tractor, although to be fair, as many of you will know with those old tractors, it was a case of put it in second gear or first gear or whatever, and and they would just drive themselves steadily down the fields. All I did in theory was steer it again, but I was the only person in the cab, and I honestly, I was gripping the steering wheel so tightly and concentrating so vehemently, looking right ahead. And then when we got to the other end, and we sort of turned round to go back, David, I remember, did actually say to me, he said, "I'll tell you what, young man." I said, "What's that?" He said, "You've driven down there in a perfectly straight line." And I was like, "Oh, right." And he said to me, he said, "It seems like the farm in gene has carried on in you." He said, "Because your Uncle Stephen obviously is a very good tractor driver, and I mean he won numerous awards from Farmers Weekly, from loads of different organisations, for his tractor driving abilities, and that was he was the person that I always wanted to emulate. Yes, I wanted to be like my granddad, but the thing was, and I think I even understood it at the time, even though I perhaps consciously wasn't thinking it at the time, but I think I still understood it at the... Oh, here we go. It helps if you put the auger out, doesn't it? They might come to you then. Anyway, yeah, so even at the time, I think I kind of understood, that although as much as I admired my granddad, and as much as I, sort of looked up to him, because again he was working on a farm, and he was I've just realised the tractors and trailers are not showing up on the mini map. They are active, yeah. Normally you get a little round circle and you can see them, but they're not showing up on the mini-map. I don't know why. Anyway, yeah, so as I say, like, as much as I looked up to my granddad and everything, you know, my Uncle Stephen was who I wanted to emulate because he was winning awards and doing things. And I think as well, the reason that I wanted to emulate him more than my granddad, even though I wanted to be a tractor driver like my granddad, and I wanted to drive the crawler like my granddad, because my granddad drove a Track Marshall 55 with a 6-furrow Dadswell offset plough, and 6-furrow, sorry if I said 6 foot, I can't remember if I said 6 foot or 6 foot, but offset plough, and I always wanted to drive that. And again, this is another story that I have actually told, that I did get my dream the second year that I was on the farm, because the first farm that I worked on, my mum had worked there, my nan and granddad had worked there, my Uncle Dick had worked there, my Auntie Reenie had worked there, my Uncle George worked there, and Auntie Gwen used to go and help as well with when they were tating, with tatey picking and stuff like that, and she also worked in the house as well, the same as my nan for the first about 10-15 years that she worked for the farm. She worked on the land, so she was a tractor driver and a combine driver and different things like that, and then eventually she moved into the house with my Auntie Gwen, and the two of them for many years, you know, sort of worked in the house, and then eventually Gwen retired, and you know, my nan carried it on then, and it was only ever my nan then, because whenever they brought someone in, nan would basically make sure they weren't there very long. She, I think it was a case of she didn't mind working with Auntie Gwen, but she wasn't keen on anyone else taking her patch. She was very territorial, was my nan, so yeah, I think that was the case. But yeah, so as I say, from a very early age, I wanted to emulate my Uncle Stephen, and as I say, it kind of almost started that day, because as I say, David said, like, you know, I can't believe how straight you've driven that tractor down there, and it's just something I've sort of I mean, there are days when, well, not now, but there are days back then. Sorry about that. It always happened. Well, it doesn't always happen, but I knew that was going to happen. I just I've been sat around all day waiting for that phone call. Kind of got to this afternoon and thought, well, I've really got to start recording something, otherwise I'm not going to get nothing done today. And I sort of kind of knew as soon as I started recording, blooming phone would go off. But it was the ex. She's on her way down apparently. So I told you last week that she pranged the car, and she did quite a bit of damage apparently to the front, and cracking all the plastic and cracking the bumper, and like, but I mean, it's all virtually plastic anyway, but she reckons it's going to cost about £1,000 to get it all repaired. I can't see it myself, but I think she's being duped, but they got nothing to do with me now. Just let go on with it. But yeah, she went to Halford to get a number plate, and she rang me up and said, oh, is 65 quid reasonable for a number plate? And I went, not really. I said, what, are you getting it in gold? And she was like, well, no, I just want a standard number plate. I said, well, I'll get you the number plate. I said, because they don't cost 65 quid. I went to the local garage that's literally 2 minutes down the road and said to him, you know, oh, and the other thing as well, she needed, was it 3 or 4 separate pieces of ID and the logbook to the car? And I just went into the local garage. I mean, I know the man in there very well, and I just said to him, I just said, you know, I need a number plate. And he's like, what do you want on it? So I told him what I wanted on it, told him what it was for, told him where it was going, and he said okay. He said, give me an hour, you know, he said, because I'm busy at the moment. So I said, yeah, fair enough. And then when I went back, it was like 12 quid. And I was like, and so I mockingly went, 12 quid? He looked at me and went, oh, all right, then you can have it. I said, now that sounds more like it. But I did give him the £12. I said to him, I said, I was only joking. I said £12 very reasonable. Oh, I've done it again. It's because I'm not concentrating enough. And as well, this wheat is yielding very, very well. Very, very well. I don't think also as well the combine completely emptied last time, did it? Like I say, it's excuse me, it's yeah, it's so yeah, she's on her way down to pick it up. So but yeah, it's going well. This I'm actually pleased with the amount of wheat that we're getting off here, because you know it's not going to be long before we have an exceptional amount of chickens, and you know that we're going to need a lot of wheat basically. As I say, I'm hoping that between the canola sale and the eggs that we should be able to, that's not the canola place, is it? Or the sale pro. Again, I forgot to turn that off. Honestly, all of you out there in YouTube land must be laughing your head off. Come on, hurry up. Alright, let's have a look. So, go there. Canola, 41,000. It's not as much as what I was hoping. The price is pretty good actually. We get a bit more for wheat, but not much more. I am on hard, so you know, as I say, I just can't. I know for sort of kind of like in a way series and stuff like that, I probably should play on either easy or normal, just to keep them moving. But I don't know. I just feel like it's cheating. I just sort of think, you know, I can't do it. You know, I've got to play on hard. Yeah, that's tends to be what I do. But another 41,000, we might not be able to afford that field then this year. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. But I have got to try and remember to keep an eye on that tank fuel level. So I downloaded the new game today, which is good. Now it might well be that by the time this video goes out, this question will be answered. But if it isn't, and I'm not going to do anything until one way or t'other this question of mine is answered. So I have put up a YouTube post, community post, but this is the state where I'm at, right? So as everyone knows, because I go on about it in almost every video, my computer doesn't have a lot of hard disk memory left. So what I want to do is save the game to my SSD drive, because I've got loads, and I've got like 830. It's either megabyte or gigabyte, I can't remember, but I've hardly used it in the 6 years that I've had my PC. I've hardly used that. I've recently just realised that I can actually save my Steam games to it, and I've started saving my Steam games to my SSD drive, but I've still got an absolute lot. I think I've used, I don't know, 10% of it, like literally nothing. The little blue bar that you get it's hardly visible. I know I've got cataracts, but even right up to the screen it's hardly visible. So what I'm thinking is I want to save 2025, Farming Sim 25 to my SSD drive, because that way I'll have loads of memory and everything will be grand. Because if I start to get out of memory on there, which I really shouldn't, I'll just get rid of my Steam games like that. You know, it's as easy as that, because my Steam games, they're just there when I want to do something a bit, you know, something else for an hour or whatever. Like usually first thing in the morning when I get up, I'll, you know, either play sort of Euro Truck or, you know, sort of Supermarket Simulator or Football Manager or something, just for an hour, just to wake up, and then sort of you know, farming gets put on, and then I'm on farming then till I go to bed. Although now that's not so strictly true, because now I've got my sort of exercise regimes to do first thing in the morning. So in the morning at 9 o'clock, I do the first one for the day, and then afternoon 1 o'clock go for my walk, and then before I go to bed, or before I get into bed, I then do the second exercise routine of the day, all for 10 minutes, and the walk for usually around sort of anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes, depending on how I'm feeling. Yeah, so I've sort of been doing that, which has been, you know, sort of is starting to make a big difference, you know, and that's very important to me, because I really was going down a bit of a slippery dark path. But anyway, so my question is, to save my game to my SSD drive, do I just, when I go to, so when I click on the game to install it, it gives me an option of default saving or custom saving. Now I've gone on to custom, and then from custom I'm able to change from C drive to D drive, and I'm assuming that when I put it onto D drive, it loses program files times 86 after the sort of, where on C drive it says C drive and then slash, and then program files times 86, and then slash again. I mean, that's in brackets as well, but most of you will know that, and then slash again, and then Farming Simulator 25. So if I change it over to my SSD drive, do I just need to add in the, after the D/drive bit, do I just add in the program files, open bracket times 86 close bracket, and then put the // in then at the end, so that it then reads the same as it would? Would that still work, or does that not work? I hope I've explained that well. I think I have, but because yeah, otherwise I'm not going to be able to play the game, because I need it says you need recommended 35 gig to save the game, and I haven't got that on my hard drive. So without my, I've done it again, without my you know, if I have to save it to the hard drive, then I'm not going to be able to play it, because I don't have the memory. Right. It's not usual for this to play. Oh, I'm in that one, am I? I kind of wanted to be in the other one. Let's just take that past. If I then get in there, he might start moving, and then between the two of them, they might start clearing each other out of the way. Let's just see what happens. No, I didn't move in far enough. This is the only from what I can see, this is the only downside. The auto drive the only downside to auto drive from like Courseplay in 19, when you used to be able to record proper road courses, because I can't get Courseplay on 22 to why is that tractor and trailer not coming? Hello, I'm full. I mean, he did come to me because I obviously filled him up last time. I have no idea. Anyway, yeah, with course play, you could start the course at one point of the field, usually pointing at the exit to the field, and then when they come back into the field, you could then get them to park somewhere else so that they never collided when going in and out of the fields. Whereas auto drive, it doesn't appear that you can do that because you have to connect the beginning to the end, and so therefore they always collide. Which is a bit of a, a bit annoying, really. We'll just let it thingy, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video here. I'm going to then do time lapse, and then we'll come in towards the end. Hopefully, as I say, we should get this combined and a small wee start on the baling, which would be pretty good. And then we've just got to then clear them, and we all know how good I am at, at clearing bales. But thanks to 1950s Farm, I've actually found a way that I can stack round bales pretty good, and they do actually stay on the trailers and do what I kind of want them to do. So it might not be such as a disaster this time round, but anyway, and so I'm going to leave the video here. I'm going to get on with some time lapse, and then we'll quickly see me do the end of the field, and then there'll be an opportunity then for a bit of baling. So I will see you at the end. So I'm back, and I do apologise because I didn't realise that my game capture had stopped recording. So it means that we missed the end of the combining. But not to worry too much, I guess. But yeah, so I hadn't realised that it had, as I say, it stopped recording, which was a bit of a problem, if I'm honest. But not too bad. So yeah, I'm not really sure at the moment until I go back and edit it whereabouts it cut out. But essentially, what I was trying to do was I was going to finish the combining. I was then going to cut in and then do a bit of talking, and then sort of get ready to go baling, and then I was going to time lapse baling a little bit, then come back again, and then sort of do the outro and then end the video there. But I'm going to have to end the video here because I think one of the main reasons why it does cut out is when my computer is starting to get low on memory, so it will then cut out, and then so I've freed up a little bit of space, but I've only been able to free up about 3 gig worth of space, so it does mean that I've got to sort of, as I say, end it here because it's not long before you've used a gig or two, and then I've got to convert it and then get it uploaded to YouTube. So yeah, it's really annoying, and I apologise sincerely. But as I say, I would like to eventually one day get, as you all know, a new computer, or at least find a way of getting the new game on my SSD drive and getting 22 on my SSD drive, because if 22 could go onto my SSD drive as well, that would save an enormous amount of space, and that would give me so much more things I could do in terms of recording, in terms of videoing and stuff like that. In case you're wondering why I'm going this way, I need some diesel. So yeah, we're going this way. But anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed the episode. I'm sorry about the end of the combining being chopped off. Like I say, next time I'll pay more attention to the game capture in the corner, because it just lets me know that it's recording. But I know what happened. So I had my Spotify on. I was singing away to my music and really lost, and really just chilled out, and sort of having a good time, and then just happened to glance up in the corner of the screen as I got the combining just about finished, and realised the little red dot wasn't there, and I was like, I should have been watching this a little bit more. But anyway, as I say, hopefully you've enjoyed it. I do apologise about that, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. So the next episode will go up, and then so today's Monday when I'm recording this, Monday afternoon, and my belief is that tomorrow morning I will record another episode of FS22, one of the series, and then in the afternoon I will be able to record an FS25. If I can, I might try and get that up as well tomorrow, but where I live, it's very, very, very slow internet, so I might not be able to do that. But if not, then they'll come out on the Wednesday, and then hopefully then unfortunately I've got a day or so away from the computer, because I'm having my eyes looked at, and I don't know whether they're going to actually do one of the cataracts while I'm there, but I'm having my eyes looked at, and then so Wednesday afternoon, maybe Thursday, should be back again, and then we'll be full steam ahead until they do actually do the the operation. What on earth has happened here? What have I pressed? Anyway, I'm going to end the episode here before oh dear me, oh dear. Alright, I'm going. Bye.